The Dubois County Airport Authority makes a decision on fuel prices at the Huntingburg Airport. Kerry Schneider brings us his weekly report from the Humane Society, and Kurt Guxell has more on Southridge's new varsity football coach in sports. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, 2 people involved in last Wednesday's armed robbery of the Dale Pharmacy are in custody this evening. 26-year-old Jacob Byers and 27-year-old Mallory Johnson, both of Mount Vernon, were arrested in Knoxville, Tennessee yesterday evening by U.S. Marshals service officers. Just before 5 p.m. yesterday, a Knoxville police officer stopped Byers, who was driving the white 2005 Toyota Camry last seen at the Dale Pharmacy, for a registration violation. When the officer began questioning Byers on his identification, which did not resemble him, Byers fled. Police say Byers' Camry hit a 2004 Ford Taurus, but kept going after the incident. A 7-year-old passenger in the Taurus was injured and taken to a Knoxville Children's Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. A second wreck that occurred during the chase was when Byers ran a red light in his escape attempt and ran into a 2005 Chrysler 300. The adult driver and 5-year-old passenger in that vehicle were taken by ambulance to an area hospital where she was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The Camry was later found disabled and empty on a sidewalk by the pursuing officer. Later yesterday evening, just before 8:20 p.m., Knoxville police and members of the U.S. Marshals Smoky Mountains Fugitive Task Force raided a Motel 6 in Knoxville where Byers and Johnson were found. Both were arrested and taken into custody on the outstanding warrants in Spencer County. Byers stated that he had fled earlier in the day due to the Indiana warrants. Byers and Johnson are currently being held without bond on the outstanding warrants. Knoxville police say Byers will also face charges in Tennessee for evading arrest, reckless driving, leaving the scene of injury accidents, and other traffic charges. Yesterday, the Dubois County Airport Authority met for their monthly meeting. The main point of discussion on the docket was tweaking the fuel pricing for the Huntingburg Airport. The DCAA focused on the average of 5 nearby airports to come up with a price per gallon of 100 low-lead fuel. After examining the figures, the committee determined that they needed to add a cost-plus structure to make up for their operating expenses. Michael Cummings, the president of the Dubois County Airport Authority, explains further.
We had gone to a cost plus 50 cents structure for the 100 low lead, which is what the single engine airplanes use. Basically, the cost will increase a bit for the 100 low lead fuel, but really it's just what we've identified as kind of our point of breaking even, and we want to ensure that we do that. So we're just seeing that as a necessity, and we want to continue supporting the pilots that are here, and we hear their concern, but our hands are a bit tied on the pricing.
This pricing operation began in March. Cummings says making sure that they make up their operation expenses was the main focus. Looking into the future, Cummings says the DCAA needs to be more transparent with their fuel costs.
What we're trying to do is establish a transparent formula for setting the price, so that we're not playing favorites, we're not playing the markets, we're not doing any of that. It's what we buy it for plus 50 cents. So really, as wholesale cost changes, that'll directly establish our cost for a gallon of fuel. It'll just be 50 cents above what we paid for it. We're trying to keep it simple.
The committee also covered the expansion project that the FAA sent back the initial review of with no issues. This long-term project includes extra lighting on the runway and expanding the runway approximately 500 feet. The expansion project is expected to be completed in 2015 as long as funding is not an issue. Last night, the Southwest Dubois School Board met to resolve personnel decisions, lunch pricing for next school year, and the sale of surplus property. The biggest announcement of the night by the board, however, was the approval of hiring Scott Buning to fill the newly created position of Dean of Students at Southridge High School, starting with next school year. Buning will also serve as Southridge's head varsity football coach. Buning talks about his new role from the Dean of Students' perspective.
I think it's a great role. I really do. I think it's a great fit in regards to, getting into the culture of the school, the fabric of the school, and really coaching and being the dean of students and those kind of things. I mean, ultimately, we're training young men and young women and students to become great young men and young students, and that's I think it's a great opportunity, for me to work in a lot of different areas here in regards to our school and our community.
Buning, who comes from Jennings County where he served as football coach and as an English teacher, says mentoring and helping students will be a huge part of his new job as dean.
I don't look at my role as a punishment role. I look at my role as a responsibility role, and one of those in which I thoroughly, and I catch some flack for this sometimes, but I thoroughly believe that there are no bad people. I believe we make bad decisions sometimes, and and those things happen. Lord knows I've made plenty, and I'll probably make some more before I even get home today. But it's about learning, it's about growing, it's about developing. Those are the things that I see as my role as the dean.
Buning will start his new job on July 1st. Also last night, the Southwest DuBois School Corporation held their end-of-year academic awards ceremony for students in grades 3 through 12. Southwest DuBois Superintendent Mike Eineman talks about the importance of having an academic awards ceremony for the students.
You don't, and you got to realize all those kids are probably doing some type of extracurricular activity. I know they are high school-wise. Elementary, they're involved in 4-H and different clubs, and middle school they got sports and different clubs as well. But it's a good balance, and it's a good thing for the parents that they've shown them how to balance our activities and keep things in perspective and keep them to know what is right, and because they have to put academics first.
Eineman says about 250 to 300 students across grades 3 through 12 participated in the ceremony. Coming up after the break, Kerry Schneider brings us his weekly report from the Humane Society, plus warmer temperatures and rain chances in your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring Dave Engler and Steve Lindauer of the Southern Indiana Leathernecks. That's all coming up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.